Okay, Romulus here. Hope y'all are having a good weekend. I want to just post a video today and share my thoughts and some resources. Um, so, number one, um, I think it's important, at least for me, to acknowledge that, this is a beast. Dealing and getting through narcissistic abuse is tough, it's draining, it's time consuming. As we all know, these narcs and cluster bees zap our energy. So it's particularly important to make the best decisions possible, to exercise good judgment and be smart. And all of the others in this community I think, are doing a fantastic job at sharing the information that they have and encouraging people to do some of the things that have helped them emotionally, physically, in terms of health and wellness, stuff like that. Um, it's easy, I know, to get discouraged. There's not one of us, including myself, that does not get discouraged from time to time. However, the no contact, it does work. It cuts off the narc at the knees, and they simply do not have the same power that they once did. And unfortunately, we need to do the same. Not unfortunately, but the flying monkeys. Some of us would like to have a relationship with some of them if we could, but we know it would backfire on us if we do. And some of the flying monkeys, are malicious and some aren't. But at the end of the day, we can't share any information with them because it just gets back to the narc. Um, so, and I also wanted to echo something that Annabelle Lee said on her channel a while ago about, not giving up. Don't give up. Um, Getting through this narcissistic abuse ultimately um, makes us more resilient than we already are, and persistent, and really furthers our stick to itiveness. Um, while I'm not religious, I am spiritual, and I believe that, I was, put through this for a reason. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm maybe one day I'll figure it out. But in any event, a few books. One book that I have is called The Angry Heart, and it's by Dr. Santoro and Dr. Cohen. They're PhDs, and it's about overcoming borderline and addictive disorders. Um, I'm a very optimistic person and a positive person, and I know that we as human beings can overcome so many things. This BPD is difficult because it does require the BPD to admit they have an issue and to get help, and that just is so rare. We all know that, and there are some treatments available, but getting them into the doctor's office is just a whole nother issue. But it's a good book, and it's got information on the recovery process and treatments available to overcome BPD, and I have heard of some people overcoming it. And the reason I want to say that is because it's not a situation where if you discover you're in a relationship with a BPD, all hope is not lost. Now, odds are it's more likely than not that it's going to be a lost cause, in reality. But anyway, so that's this book, The Angry Heart. The second book I want to discuss is for those like myself who have gone or are going through a divorce with a narc. And anyone who's been through a divorce with a narc will tell you it's a nightmare. They are irrational. It's like Ollie Matthews says, they will not listen to reason. you can't reason with it. They're not rational. You could forget about negotiation. It's all about them, what benefits them, and it's hard emotionally and legally. And so I had this book. It's written by an attorney and a licensed clinical social worker, and it's called Splitting. And I know a lot of y'all have heard of it. Splitting, protecting yourself while divorcing someone with BPD. And, this is particularly important because we cannot assume that our attorney knows what BPD is or narcissistic personality disorder is. And I know, the concern and the fear that I have, that I think a lot of us share, is people's eyes glazing over when you mention that. At some point, it's gonna seep into our consciousness, these personality disorders, and it's a mental health issue. At the end of the day, it's a mental health issue, and we get into relationships with these people and we don't even know what it is. And a lot of us, are intelligent and smart and well-read, and no one knows everything about everything. And so this book, and by the way, the co-author of this book wrote, the co-author is the Stop Walking on Eggshells. So Randy Kreger, one of the co-authors of this book, is a co-author of Stop Walking on Eggshells. And then the third book I have, and this is really interesting, I think, when you talk about dealing with narcs, and you talk about dealing with the court system, narcs will never play fair, and they will bring out the worst in us. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's so important to go no contact, because I don't know about y'all, but I see myself thinking things and acting in a way that I would never feel or act, because these narcs they drive us crazy. I mean, they really do. It's an awful thing. And I had this book called Secret Corruption, and it's by Scott Wallace, and he talks about corruption not only in the civil justice system but the criminal justice system. And in my state, I can tell you right now, it is rampant. It is just all over the place. It's like the wild, wild west. And a lot of this corruption manifests itself and plays out in a lot of the judicial and court proceedings that we're involved in. And we leave them thinking, what the F just happened? Did the judge not process the information given to them? Did they just completely blow off the judicial canons of conduct? I'm convinced that there's a certain segment of the judiciary, that they're either incompetent or they're corrupt, or a little of both, and that does not bode well for someone, a good person like me and others who want to do the right thing, who want to play by the rules. It's hard, and one of the things I've been struggling with, that I do struggle with, is like many people, I was brought up and taught to do the right thing, be fair and honest, have integrity and character. We all make mistakes, but owning the mistakes. And when you get into adulthood and you're going through your divorce case, or it could be anything, whether it's in the court system or not, and that they're not acting in good faith, that they're not being fair and honest, it's a mind F. It just really, and you're like, well, what do I do? Do I, stay the course, straight and narrow, or do I have to get in the dirt with them? And some of us are fine getting in the dirt, but it's just something we'd rather not do. And when you're dealing with a narc, we're forced to do that, which again goes back to how these narcs bring out the worst in us. And like Ollie has said, and Annabelle Lee has said fantastically, these people do things and then we respond reasonably and rationally, and then the focus is on our response, not the original behavior. And in fact, there are laws that protect people, both civilly and criminally, from people who engage in provocative behavior, which evokes a provocative or a rational response. And so, in any event, it's an interesting book. And we all know, corruption's been around in the government for a long time. And when we're divorcing these narcs, we have to go through the government. Something a lot of us probably didn't think about doing when we got married. But in any event, I wanted to share those 3 books with y'all, and I hope y'all are having a great weekend. And feel free to leave comments in the description box below, and talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.